So I just want to introduce Edward. He's an international money coach, marketing mentor, been doing that for 10 years, and you're involved in the New South Wales Business Chamber for over 3 years. But one thing that I suppose you've done a lot of support with me around is creating master persuaders and influencers. And you've got over 64,000 followers on LinkedIn, so that's amazing. And I wanted to share a bit, I suppose, on how we relate. So we'd sort of catch up every 2 months, get together, and you, I suppose, really dig a bit deep into my business, where am I at, what I could be doing better, who do I want to be connected with, and I'm really grateful for that. So it's one that you just want to see me succeed. You want to see me be influential, tell my story. So I just want to share that with everyone, that it's a bit risky seeing you every 2 months because we both got a sweet tooth, which can be dangerous. But
We
again,
don't we? We love Gillian, we like Lynn, we like anything cake and sugar, don't we also, Michael?
yeah, we certainly do. We certainly do. But I just wanted to share, you haven't always been this sort of master persuader. There's certainly a story that you've got to share. And every time I see you, or every few times I see you, I learn a little bit more about you. And this is about empowerment. It isn't obviously around women's empowerment, but it's about empowerment and inspiration. So hence why I really wanted to connect with you. Really excited about learning more about you, and I suppose you sharing your story from where you were to where you are now.
Oh, well, thanks, Michael. It's an honourable pleasure. And I got to say, I love what you're about. I think the empowerment of women, especially when it comes to money, is something that's amazing that too few men are doing. And I'm glad that you've picked up the mantle on that one.
Thank you. Thank you. Very rewarding.
Yeah. I suppose my story is an interesting one. I've been a man who's lived many lives. So I used to be in the military. I used to be work with the federal police. I've had a successful career in corporate. I've made bad decisions and gotten sick due to PTSD and wound up homeless. And I suppose I spent the past decade of my life in what I call redemption. I've been, gradually rebuilding my life. And over the past few years, I've absolutely exploded globally as an international influencer. And it's been a life-changing result. Ironically, 10 years ago, when I was a homeless veteran living in my car, I once dreamed of becoming a global guy. And a decade later, it happened. So I'm actually very happy about the whole process, Michael.
So that's a bit of manifestation then, is it?
It's funny you say that. And I know we've had this conversation a lot lately, especially off camera. It's funny when you create something and you say it and you act on it, stuff happens. It's actually very scary how we create our own reality based on what we think, what we say, and what we do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And I think it was last Thursday. So we have a weekly catch up, and you have about 30 to 50 people that attended on a regular basis, and it's different. I want to share with you why it's different, because you make people feel safe. So you get people speaking up, and people that are quite reserved, you give them the confidence to speak up. So I just wanted to share that. It's just your natural style to bring out the best in people. But something you shared on that evening really resonated with me when you were a bit younger, growing up, and I'm not sure whether you want to share that in regard to being bullied a bit. And so I think that's, again, a part of your story as well.
Yeah. And no, thanks for going there. And just so you know, for the sake of the audience, I'm happy to go there, take photos, send a postcard and come back. I'll go wherever, right? I'll go wherever the truth is, regardless of how painful.
Wow.
In a short term, and I want to give a quick caveat right now. I don't want anyone blaming my parents for what I'm about to say. My parents are good people, great people who made some mistakes. So please no one think less of my parents. They're great people who I love and admire very much. However, this is the truth of the matter. So I had a very, very normal childhood up to about the age of 10 years old. And what happened roughly at the age of 10 was, my mother got very, very sick with cancer, and it led to a family breakdown,
Right.
which was really bad. And after a few twists and turns, a few bad decisions on my part and everyone's part, I actually wound up a homeless kid. And I actually wound up living in a lot of different places. And I was even in the foster system for a while, right? It was not a good experience. And what was interesting about the whole experience, up till the age of 10, I had the ultimate life. I mean, kids' parties, birthday cakes. I had a Commodore 64. You know what a Commodore 64 is?
It's a computer, is it? Or it's going...
I had a Commodore 64, a 5 1/4 disc drive, and I was the coolest kid in school, right? And it's funny. I know I'm showing my age here, and what happened was, look, I'm not blaming anyone. A bunch of bad circumstances hit me, and I actually found myself going to a lot of different schools, living in different places. And the way it works is, and for anyone who's been a foster kid, you'll know this. Um, the foster kid is the lowest of the low. You are the lowest of the school hierarchy. And what happens is when you go to a new school, the bullies, you're the first one the bullies go after. Because they know you're a foster kid. They know you've got no backup. You're an easy soft target.
Yeah.
And what happened in a lot of schools, I got beaten up all the time. But what happened though, is you can only beat up someone so much. They eventually learn how to fight. And over a lot of my teenage years, I would have a fight every week. And what happened after a while, I started winning, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I started winning. I started working out. I started learning how to fight. And I would beat the crap out of people. So it was almost like going to prison. When I go to a new school, I'm like, all right, where's the bully? I need to take this bully down in front of everyone because that's how you get respect, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And towards the end of my high school, I was a bit of a trouble teen, surprise, surprise, but I had a reputation for bashing up bullies and it was a lot of fun. So a lot of people like that. I hate bullies and legally, obviously I can't say this as an adult because I get in trouble, but I'd love to legally bash them and teach them who's boss.
or an education. Let's call it education.
Yeah, we'll say it like in a communist form. It was like communist enlightenment. We'll call it communist enlightenment. So I'd re-educate them in a very communist loving manner.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And so that younger in your life was really always fighting, sticking up for yourself, backing yourself in a sense, and again through the army as well, and then finding yourself backing yourself again in a bit of a dark spot in regard to being homeless, and you've come out the other side.
Sorry, please.
I was going to say, share with us a bit more about how you decided. I know you talked about 10 years ago what you manifested, but just share a bit more about how you came to be this massive influencer now.
Yeah, well, what happened was, so 10 years ago, I was a homeless veteran, and I had a lot of time to think, and I made a real decision to sort of turn my life around. And I remember I didn't use the word influencer because influencer wasn't a common part of the language in those days, but I said, I want to become some kind of global motivational guy. Anyway, and what happened was, originally, I used to live in my car in one of Sydney's northern beaches called DY. Anyway, nice place to be homeless, by the way. And what happened was, at the time, which was really, really cool, what was really cool about this experience is I actually got a job selling health products and paid a lot of commission. So, like the hot packs, massage machines and that sort of thing. And I was really good at it, and it paid like 20% commission. So I was able to earn all this money, and I was able to use this money to help pay for my coaching education.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was just one foot in front of the other. I used to be more of a local business coach working around town. And over a few years, I got a few really good clients and a few good contracts here and there. But I was actually able to work my way out of poverty, which is really cool. And I had a few highs and lows, of course. And probably about 2 years ago, I really exploded globally on LinkedIn. And that's where my business went from a local Sydney influencer to a global influencer. So it's been really good. It's been a crazy 2 years, but very rewarding. And so really loving where I am right now. And what I say to anyone watching, regardless of where you are, it's all about, I'm the result of little baby steps every day. If you keep taking that baby step every day, everything just comes together.
Wow. That's a great learning. And I resonate with that because I do the 1%ers. That's what I call it, the same thing.
Yeah.
So no one watches the 1%ers except you.
Yeah. I'm jealous of you. I'm probably more 0.01%ers is probably me. So you're like 100 times better than me. Now, I'm probably a 0.1%. I'm a 0.1% guy. So you're 10 times more effective than me in that scenario.
So I just want to ask you one more question, Edward. So a young person that's going through some hard times, what sort of advice would you give them? I mean, it took 10 years ago. I'm not going to say how old you are now, but it took 10 years ago to get this where I want to be. But what could make it easier for someone going through some hard times so they don't have to wait that long in life to sort of turn it around?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is that, and I'm going to go into all preacher mode on you. I'm going to start talking about God and all that sort of thing. But a quick caveat, right? Quick caveat. To me, spirituality is actually very important. And if I look back on it, one of the things that's helped me become very successful is my spiritual faith. Now, again, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. if you're a Muslim, Buddhist, if you're into, if you're a Wiccan, absolute respect for that. What I encourage people to do is, whatever your heritage is or whatever spiritual foundation you're in, I encourage you to go really into it, because if I look back on it, it was actually my spiritual Christianity foundation that actually helped me turn my life around and become incredibly effective. And I think, in all honesty, if I didn't have that spiritual foundation, there's no way I'd be as successful as I am today, let alone on the planet, if you know what I'm saying. So
Yep.
I think what I say to anyone is, if you're a Christian, go speak to your local priest. If you're a Muslim, speak to a cleric. If you're a Hindu, go to your local temple. Take some action. I think spirituality is the first step, because if you're living in the world in just a material sense, you're going to have a very rough experience. If you're living in a more 3-4 dimensional spiritual sense, you're going to have a much better experience with our very limited time on earth, which is very limited, make no mistake.
Yes, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. So just to sort of end it, I'm a part of your community, and as I said, there's so much support in that, and I'm grateful for that.
Right.
People that are listening to this, how do they get to be a part of your community? How can they reach out to you, Edward?
Oh, Michael, you're the best, and it's an honor having you with us. And the best way is please feel free to ask Michael for an introduction, or just hit me up on LinkedIn, whatever works for you. But no, Michael, it's an honor having you with us, and an honor being interviewed by you. I think it's really cool. And I just want to observe, we're both wearing blue today. That was not planned.
And what I appreciate, Edward, is your vulnerability. So sharing your story, that makes a difference to other people's lives. So thank you for that. I sort of got emotional when you were talking about it. So again, quite grateful for you being so open and trusting me to tell you truth. So thank you.
Yeah. And one last point as well to all the kids out there, and do it safely and legally. Make sure you learn how to fight if you're being bullied. At the end of the day, bullies only understand one language, and make sure you learn how to speak that language beautifully.
On that note, all the best, Edward. Thank you very much.
Love your work, Michael. Thanks again.
See ya.